Ryan McLaren had an impressive debut for Hampshire as he took 4 wickets on the opening day of the LV County Championship match away at Durham. McLaren opened the bowling with Fidel Edwards after Paul Collingwood batted after winning the toss, and the South African had Jack Burnham taken behind at the start of his 3rd over. Edwards, meanwhile, was bowling with good pace and he got one through Mark Stoneman to bowl him for 7 to leave Durham on 17 for 2 in the 6th over. McLaren was finding plenty of movement off the pitch and he then found the edge of Collingwood's bat to have him taken behind by Adam Wheater for 10 at 32 for 3. McLaren's first spell back in the county game brought him figures of 2 for 8 from 6 overs. Hampshire also gave a first-class debut to 23-year-old Devonian Ryan Stevenson. He got through 5 overs for the cost of 11 runs, and when he was replaced by McLaren, the man with 2 test matches under his belt had Michael Richardson edging to James Vince after making 20. Scott Borthwick's innings emphasised how tough batting was. He'd survived for 91 minutes for his 9 runs when he gave Wheater more work to do off Gareth Berg. That had Durham, a side who've really struggled in recent weeks, on 65 for 5, and it was nearly an even worse story for them. Ryan Pringle nearly run out before he'd got going. Berg and the Hampshire fielders were then convinced that Pringle had nicked this ball, the umpire though seeing things rather differently. And that allowed Pringle to get away, he and Gordon Motchell doing their very best to get their side's innings moving in the right direction. As is often the case at the Emirates Durham International Cricket Ground, batting does become a lot easier once the shine has gone off the new cricket ball. And this was no different, as at last the home team began to forge a partnership of note, and a much needed one at that. It should not have been the case, however. Pringle on 27 was spilled in the gully by Will Smith, an expensive drop as it was to turn out. This has been Pringle's breakthrough season, especially with the bat. He's put in some decent performances with the Willow, and his efforts here were just what his side required. He dominated the scoring at this stage, while Motchell at the other end was more concerned with survival. Pringle rarely missed out on any opportunity to send the ball to the boundary rope. He was missed again though by Smith, this time at short leg, the kind of chance which either sticks in the hand or doesn't. Berg was accurate throughout, and after delivering 13 overs for the cost of only 14 runs, he then had Motchell LBW for 23 to end a partnership of 69. 4 balls later, and the former Middlesex all-rounder had James Whale playing on to go without scoring, a wicket which left the home team in trouble again on 134 for 7. Pringle was still there though, and he reached a 50 off 87 balls, his bat being raised after he'd struck his 9th 4. It was the standout innings of a day which was largely dominated by the bowlers. It was the 4th half-century of the 23-year-old's first-class career in what was his 9th match overall. He then took 4 fours off a single Stevenson over to get to the highest score of his career, overtaking his previous best of 69 not out made earlier on this summer. Without him on this occasion, Durham would have been in a mess against a side which started this contest on the bottom of the First Division table, but only 15 points away from safety and with a game in hand on those immediately above them. Hampshire have started to find some form at just the right time, and when Edwards had John Hastings held by Liam Dawson for 6, they'd reduced their host to 168 for 8. McLaren was now back on to try to finish the innings off as quickly as he could. Brought in as a replacement for Jackson Bird, the South African met his match in the form of Pringle, who took him for these 3 boundaries off successive deliveries to move into the nervous 90s for the first time in his career. He continued to dominate the scoring, now in partnership with Chris Rushworth, this pair bringing up the 200 for their team. The heart would have been racing as Pringle got to 99, a very impressive performance which now needed to be finished off with just 1 more single. But he could hardly believe it when he was given out trying to pull Edwards. Pringle left with 99 runs to his name, those being made off only 125 balls with 19 fours included. McLaren ended with 4 for 60 when Rushworth guided him to Smith to go for 18, Durham all out for 213. Hampshire then started their reply badly as Graham Onions flattened Jimmy Adams off stump with only 4 runs on the board. Onions was then denied a second wicket when Mutchell dropped a regulation opportunity in the slips to offer Vince a life before he'd trouble the scorers. Michael Carberry was then caught off an Onions no ball, this dramatic day of cricket continuing along its merry way. Indeed, Onions could have had a hatful to have his side on top, but he also had Carberry dropped by Mutchell. So finally, now into his 7th over, Onions did get the wicket he deserved, Pringle with the catch to send Vince on his way for 9. 36 for 2 soon became 47 for 3 when Carberry on 16 was held by Mutchell, a stunning Ben Stokes-type catch at Trent Bridge, which left the visitors in some trouble of their own on 47 for 3. Onions now had all 3 wickets to fall, but Rushworth was for once not at his very best, and that allowed Smith, against his former county, to battle through to the close with Dawson, this pair adding 30 runs in the final hour of the day to make it, in the end, a fairly even one. With Smith getting to 22 and Dawson 13, Hampshire will start the second day of this important match on 77 for 3, the game already moving on at a pace. Hampshire will resume on the second morning 136 runs behind.